Up, our heroes bravely answered yes, and then they stood him up. He jumped right out into the blast, a static line on hook. He ain't gonna jump no more.
Howdy, and welcome back to Celebrating Vintage Model Kits. Today we're going to be looking at another Frog kit, actually boxed as an airlines kit for their foreign market. I've noticed that we've got quite a substantial amount of viewers from the Netherlands, so I thought I'd present a Dutch aircraft for you guys. And this is the Fokker D.21. I've seen it both spelled with a D.21 and a D.XXI. So it's the D.21. This is in 1/72nd scale. This particular issue, the airlines issue, is from 1964. The original Frog issue was in 1963. So they had their own box first and then went to the airlines for the foreign market in 64. And so the Fokker D.21 may not be familiar to a lot of viewers out there, but it had a substantial history for the Dutch in the early part of the war until the Germans overran Holland. This particular plane was originally designed for the Dutch, the Royal Dutch East Indies Company, or the Army for the company. For the, I think it was the KNIL, is what they called their Air Force there. So it was ordered for them. They wanted a cheap, rugged, easy to maintain aircraft for the Dutch East Indies down in the South Pacific. They ended up rejecting the aircraft once it flew. They shifted their ideas. They wanted more of a bomber force than a fighter force. So the aircraft ended up getting picked up by the Dutch Air Force in the Netherlands, in the main country. The first flight of this aircraft was in March 1936. It's powered by a Bristol Mercury 8, about 830 horsepower. A total of 148 were built. It was also licensed built in Denmark and Finland. Served with a couple of other countries. A few of these ended up down in Spain during the Spanish Civil War. And the Germans, when they occupied the Netherlands and Denmark, took over some of these aircraft and used them as training aircraft in the Luftwaffe. So this aircraft kind of got around a bit. Fairly simple, kind of caught in that transition from fabric-covered biplanes to all metal monoplanes. So this is a little bit of both. It's got metal framing, but it's got a lot of fabric on it. Still got a fixed gear. It had 4 machine guns as opposed to 2, but not as much as what would later be used. They did test out 20mm cannons on these. I think the Finnish also tested some 20mm cannons, but didn't make it to the actual production of it. So that's a little bit of a history on this particular aircraft. Let's take a look at the kit. And so, as part of the airline series, you still have the Frog logo as part of this kind of ribbon award on here. So you got the Frog logo there with the airlines, and it just says Fokker on here as opposed to telling you the specific one. Got artwork on the cover of an aircraft D.13. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Interesting, though, is that this is the pre-war markings. Right when the war started, the Dutch got rid of this tricolor and replaced it with a large orange triangle with a black surround. So they didn't want any confusion with the French or the British, since the Netherlands was trying to stay neutral in what was going on. So showing it in this marking, shooting down a WW2 is a little bit of a fantasy, but it's still kind of neat looking artwork. A little simplistic, but still neat. On the side, you've got your kit number, 3902, Fokker, and then here you do see the D.21. You do have your 72nd scale constant on here. Other side, some of the features, pilot figures, propeller, authentic Dutch markings. The box forms a collector's card, and display stand. On the bottom of the kit, you have what they mentioned on top. You've got this cutout section for a card. There's a free offer that you could submit to get a paint kit or another kit if you collected 12 of these things. Kind of strange that you've got a kit of a Fokker, but yet you've got a Miles Magister as the card that you get. You know, kind of makes sense that you get the card of the kit you built, but that's not the way you did it. And other side, similar Fokker 172nd, and the kit number again. So this is a kind of a fold open box. So it's all printed, you know, directly on the cardboard, and it folds open. So it's just one piece of cardboard that gets kind of all folded up in this. Got our instructions. Typical of some of the early Frog kits. You've got just an exploded view of the aircraft with some number callouts, then assembly instructions over here. So not a whole lot to the instruction itself. Flip side, you've got a little bit more history about the aircraft, and then a painting guide and how to put the stand together. And here you've got your address for the distribution from the Lions Brothers in New York. So that's that. You got this airline/testers aircraft painting guide. It's kind of a neat little addition to it. Gives you a little bit of color, showing you different paint schemes from some of the aircraft, and a nice ad from Testers. I wouldn't be surprised if Testers paid for this to be put in inside. Then a lot of information about painting. So probably a promo paid for by Testers to help sell some of their stuff. So let's look at the kit itself. We'll start with the fuselage parts. Fairly simple. You've got just a few raised lines to kind of represent the fabric covering on the rear part of the fuselage. Some sinkholes, quite a bit of sinkhole here actually, fairly substantial. Both sides, sinkhole in the wing fillet, sinkholes on the bottom. Not the greatest molding here. And get a little idea of the fit. Fit's pretty tight, so it's a pretty good fit. So not much filling needed for the seam lines, but you got these really bad sinkholes. They're all on the back side of these locator pins, so not the best design, I guess. And so let's take a look at the wings. You do have separate rudder and separate ailerons, which is kind of nice. But again, very simple. Very simple, just a couple of raised lines to represent some panel lines. And again, you get some sinkholes showing up on the opposite side of these locator pins. So, not the best in the world. Got one tree, you've got your, looks like maybe your rudder and horizontal stabilizer parts. Some antennas or maybe some gun barrels. There's your ailerons. Again, very simple, just a few raised lines representing the fabric covering. Second sprue, you've got your cowling. Pretty simple. You get your landing gear. Again, number of sinkholes on those. Again, you know, on the backside where locator pins are. Landing or wheels. You do get a seat for the pilot. Tail wheel or tail drag, or you can put a tail wheel or the dragger. Actually, no, you know what? I think that might be an intake. And let's take a look at the rest of the little bits. Got a prop. Prop's not too bad. A little bit of flash on there. That's pretty, you know, nice thin prop, so looks scales out pretty good. Here's your little pilot. He looks like some blobby spaceman. And then you've got, I guess that's your representation of your Bristol Mercury. Looks a little thin on the cylinders there. And then a couple of bits for tail. And you get your frog stand. Here's your clear part for your canopy. This is actually kind of thin, better than some of the earlier stuff. Does have some lines for your framing. Not too bad for this era, I guess. But there's, even if it was clear, there's really not much to look at. You get a seat in the pilot, and that's about it. So, not much to look at. Now here's the back side of the box, where you can see. Here's the information on that little cutout card for the Miles Magister. Gives you a little history. Then here's the list of kits you could get if you collected 12 of them. You could send it in and get yourself a free kit. So, if you noticed, there's no decals in this particular set. Decals got lost at some point in its life, but they're fairly simple for the aircraft that's on the box cover. 213. Did a little researching on that. 213 was the second aircraft built in the Dutch order. First flew in August 12th of 38. Its biggest claim to fame, I guess, would be on May 1st. The Germans were pouring through the country, and what little defense the Dutch had, they were throwing up against the invading Germans, and so they were trying to knock out the bridges on the River Maas over in the Ida Arnhem area. So it was the Maasberg, as the Dutch call their river or their bridges. So in this particular number 213 was part of a 3-plane group of D.21s that were escorting T5 bombers to go try to knock out the Maasberg. They ended up being attacked by Bf-110s. One of the D-21 shot down a couple of Bf-110s and then got shot down by a third. This particular plane, number 213, ended up getting tangled with 6 Bf-110s, ended up shooting down one, and with one probable. The pilot was a lieutenant. I'm probably going to butcher this guy's name, but it's Fokker de Graaf. He was seriously injured in the fight, and he ended up putting the aircraft down on a road between Den Haag and Utrecht. So this plane was involved in a bit of a fight and has a little bit of history. Although when that went on, it certainly wasn't flying against Ju-87s, and it certainly didn't have these markings on it at the time. 213 eventually ended up being shot down later on by an HE-111. They were intercepting a bomber strike, and it got hit by return fire from an HE-111. And that was the end of that. There currently are no D-21s in existence. They're trying in the Netherlands, they are trying to get one put back together. They've got some pieces from some wrecks. There is a replica that's on display. But no, true whole complete D-21s. But it's looking like they might be able to get one together from various different wreck parts and rebuilds. So you might see something coming from them pretty soon. I'm going to show you here some images of the 213 that I could come up with. Most of them look like they're pre-war pictures or the first day or two of the war. I was not able to locate any of 213 with the later orange triangles. So let's take a look at those. So as I said at the beginning, Frog first issued this in '63. This version came out in '64. The Triangle was also a '63 issue. They issued it again in '68, and then starting in '72 for the next 2-3 issues, they actually issued it with the orange triangles in the wartime markings. When Frog folded up in the mid-'70s, the vast majority of their molds, at least the non-Axis power molds, ended up going to Russia and were then put out by Novo. First issuing of this by Novo was in '79. Then they kicked around a few other European countries, the Ukraine, distributor or maker in the Ukraine. Put this out in the 80s, and I'm not even going to remotely try to say the name of that company. Intech in Poland in the 80s as well. Another one called Hobby Holding in 1990. Put it out in the Spanish markings. And then Intech again in combination with Johan in 93. I thought Johan was defunct by then, but apparently somebody was trying to keep the name alive and did some sort of partnership with Intech. They only produced 3 or 4 of these kits. They were all appear to be ex-frog molds. And then the final issuing of this that I could find is from SIGA Model. I think they may also be a Russian company, but I can't quite tell. But that was released in 2000. So there's probably a lot of these kits out there in various different versions. So if you're looking to build something a little different, for the valiant Netherlands, this D.21 kit is a fun choice. Not the best kit in the world, it looks like. But if you want to do something a little different, a little interesting, pick yourself up a D.21. If you've built one of these or one of the variations of this, comment in the comment section. Let us know, how it came out, if it was a joy to build or not. And I think that's about it for today. So thanks for stopping by. Hope you have yourselves a great rest of the day.